Right, okay folks, welcome to another Friday Waffle. I'm not doing a cosplay of Michael J. Fox and Back to the Future. I'm dressed to work at home. Working at home is great, you know, it's a nice perk. I'd be lying if I said that. Not when you get up too early, 5 minutes before you start, fall out of bed. You can even work in your underpants as well if you're that way inclined. But no, the reason I'm dressed like this is because just the cold. Not that I have got a cold, but I'm talking about just how cold it is. Last couple of weeks in Scotland have been brutally cold, but then we're in the middle of winter. We're like 2 weeks away from, or under that, we're what was that be, 12 days away from Christmas, or the way I look at it is 13 days so that Christmas is finished. No, I'm just grumpy. I don't really like Christmas. I liked it when I was a kid. Liked it when my mum and dad were here and when my daughter was young, but that's all changed now, so I'm not a big fan of Christmas. Though there will be Lawn Boys Posts and Main Mice a Christmas special on Christmas Eve, as always, so please be there. The weather's been really, really cold, and very, very quickly, I was with Eon, and they were charging me 107. I mean, they were charging me about 175 quid a month. That was up to about 6 months ago, and then I moved across to Octopus because a few people had told me that they were actually pretty good. Now I know it's all based on per unit, and I think they're a bit cheaper. But anyway, I went to Octopus, and my monthly payment went from 175 to 128, which I thought excellent. There's 50 quid savings, which is great. And then I happened to just log on to my account, and lo and behold, I found out that I wasn't paying enough, and there was a thing saying we recommend you increase your payment to £218 a month, which was like £90 more than I was paying. So I put it up to 175 a month, and then last month I logged into my account, and for whatever reason, Octopus hadn't been getting readings from my smart meter, which is a bit weird. So I contacted them, and they came back to me and said, there's a problem with getting readings from your smart meters. And I went back to them and said, well, what are you going to do about it? Fix it. But what they said was, in the meantime, can you please give us some manual meter readings, which I did. And my balance went from being in credit of like 120 quid to being overdrawn by 156 quid or something. I'm like, fucking hell. So I've put it up to the £218 that they said. So instead of being 50 quid a month better off, I'm now I'm now even worse off than I was before I moved to Octopus. But I'm not complaining. Well, I am complaining. I'm lucky that I can afford it. It doesn't leave me much money each month, but I can afford it. That I just really, really feel sorry for any low-income families, low-income individuals that are living on their own, old people. You never really think about when you're 20 years old. You don't think to yourself, when I get to in 40 years' time, I'm going to be sitting with a jacket on, etc. So the reason I've got my body warmer on is because I thought, well, I need to try and bring down how much electricity I'm using, or both electricity and gas. I can't really comment too much on the electricity because it is what it is. My electricity consumption is the computer, and I work from home, and my daughter's on the computer. So I'm not going to stop using the computer. What I do, and it's a bad habit, and it's I like a bath. I love baths. I love things like saunas and steam rooms. I don't know. It's something I've always loved. I love being really, really hot. Sweating your bollocks off. So yeah, I tend to since I've kind of moved into myself. Since I've lived on my own, well, with my daughter sitting next door. I've ended up having a bath every single night, which I know is going to be costing quite a bit of money, and there's no excuse for it other than it's a habit. I've got a shower, I've got a decent shower, so I'm going to try and not have a bath every night, even every second night, or every third night have a shower every day, to see if that'll help it. But another thing, I was talking to one of my mates, and he had mentioned a while back about infrared panel heaters. I had a look, I've kind of watched a few videos and what have you, and it's effectively, it looks like a whiteboard, a whiteboard that you would put on a wall and draw on with pens. It looks like that, and so I bought one off Amazon. It was about 120 quid, and I've got that in my kitchen, and what I'm planning to do is I've turned off all the radiators in rooms I don't really use, so my bathroom, I go in there for a piss or something else. I'm not in for long. My bedroom, I go into my bedroom and get under the duvet and I'm nice and warm, and then I fall asleep. So I thought, turn off the radiators in both these rooms, and that way there's less radiators to heat, and in effect the house should kind of warm up quicker. So I've done that, but so this infrared thing, the plan is to not have my heating on during the day, because this is a big problem. I completely forgot to mention it. Because I work from home, I have got to keep warm. I've got to keep warm. I mean, I think the government does give you so much money back. You've got to claim it back over a year. It's not very much, but it is to partly help you with people who work from home, because they're quick to tax you when you get a benefit like a company car. So it's only right that they give you something back if you're paying to be at work. I'm paying for my electricity. The company doesn't give me anything towards that. So yeah, having the heating on 24/7 or during the day isn't really practical. So this infrared thing, hopefully that's going to, hopefully that will help. Octopus do a little smart meter thing, which apparently tells you what you're actually using each day. So I really need that. I need that to kind of, do a sort of like a, what's the word for it? Not a line in the sand. Oh, what's it called where you've got something to measure it against? I need to. I can't remember I can hear Colin Jones and what have you screaming out. A guide? No, not a guideline. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I need to use my normal gas and have my bath on one day and see how much it costs, and then the next day don't have a bath and use my infrared heater and see how it goes. So that's kind of been that. This week I was at pool. Tuesday, Wednesday didn't do very much. Thursday I was at my computer club Christmas party. I call it a party, it's not a party, it's just the computer club. But every Christmas it's a tradition, funnily enough. We all take along food, or should I say crap. It's usually sweets and crisps and all kinds of junk. And one of the guys, a guy Alan, he always takes along, he always brings along some Krispy Kreme donuts, which is fantastic. It's really generous of Alan to do that. Last night he brought along, there's about 7 of us I think, he brought along 18 donuts. And guess who had 3 of them? Yeah, me. That's why I'm looking particularly fat at the moment, because I went to bed last night and I actually felt quite ill. I think it's probably because I'd eaten donuts and sweets and God knows what else. But good fun, always really, really good fun. Now, just on that note, in fact, one of the comments from last week's waffle was legendary Whizball 88. He's asked me to do a review of the Spectrum, which I bought, which I'll talk about in a minute, because he doesn't trust other channels. If you do, please update the firmware and test it with a bunch of controllers, including arcade sticks. Very few people have done this and nobody has done it well. I'm really quite chuffed that he thinks I'm going to be able to do it justice. Yeah, I took along this Spectrum, sorry. The problem with me talking, I talk so fast and I forget to breathe, and then I end up hiccuping or whatever. So yeah, I bought the Spectrum. So I'm not going to let you see it. You know exactly what it is. Hadn't opened it. Took it along last night, and yeah, pretty impressed with it. As a Spectrum, as a replacement for an old Spectrum, it's fantastic. It does exactly what you want it to do. It's easy to work. Some of the game choices are a wee bit suspect. Obviously, that's down to licensing and what have you. But in the main, very impressed. But I'm not going to talk about it anymore because I'm going to do a video and let you know what I think of it. Yeah, so that was that, and in fact, you know, I'm talking nonsense. Yeah, I thought that was about something else, but it's not. Anyway, yeah, podcast. We, the Edinburgh Retro Computer Club, when we first started, probably about 13 years ago, back in 2012, we did a podcast, and it was great. You know, there was usually about at least 2 or 3 of us. I think sometimes we had even 4 people, and all these guys, apart from one, you know, we still go to the club. In fact, there's 2 of them. One of them goes on the odd occasion, and one of the guys never goes. He walked away from the scene completely. But I stumbled over these podcasts on my computer, and I thought, you know what, that would be nice to share, because yeah, I mean, a few people probably have heard them, but talking about old games, and it's like my Friday Waffles. A Friday Waffle that I did 10 years ago is still relevant today, I would imagine, because I'm talking about old systems. And the podcasts we're talking about how we got started with computers, you know, what was your first system, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, interesting to hear that. So what I'm planning to do is when I don't have a nice and nasty podcast coming out on a Tuesday, I will put out another Edinburgh PC podcast, which I did. I put out the first one on Tuesday, I think it was. Yeah, it wasn't. No, it was last night actually. I beg your pardon. It was last night, which would be Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. So that's the plan. Just talking the nice and nasty podcasts. When you don't get one on a Tuesday, you might be thinking, you can't be bothered, whatever. Trust me, I'm like that proverbial swan. I might look as calm as anything, but underneath the water I'm paddling away as hard as I can, trying to get guests, etc. I mean, I've probably reached out to, I reckon, probably about 10 people in the last month or so. Quite a few of my friends, but so far, other than Ian Cullen, who I did a couple of weeks ago, they've said they're going to get back to me. But I'm not one of these people to chase people, because you know, if they don't want to do it, they're not going to do it. But I'll ask, and you know, I need to wait on them coming back. I don't like being kind of too pushy, so I'm waiting on a few coming back to me. But I do have 3 excellent guests. Not that my friends aren't excellent guests, but these are guys who are well known in the computer games scene. So I've got one on Sunday, I've got one on Wednesday, and then I've got another one on Thursday. So you can see pretty much what my week's going to entail, nice and nasties. So looking forward to that. I have actually written some stuff down just so I can I don't forget. I think that makes sense, because if I don't, then I end up forgetting what I'm talking about, and I end up saying after 5 minutes I've ran out of topics to talk about. So yeah, Christmas party podcast. I put out a Sociable Soccer 25 video last week, and I put it out as a premiere just because I don't know, I wanted to. I was really chuffed with it. I thought it was actually one of my best videos. Every now and again, and if you're a content, I've got to write my leaf there. If you're a content creator, you will from time to time, hopefully, you'll do a video which you think, you know what, I really like that video, that's entertaining. You watch it yourself and you think that's actually quite good fun. I'm on forum, you know, I'm on my A game, and that video was one of them. If you've not watched it, I suggest you watch it. Hopefully you'll enjoy it as much as I had making it. But yeah, I'm effectively doing a kind of mini micro review of Sociable Soccer, but leading up to it, I just talk about, it was not, I think some people got the wrong idea of what I was trying to do. It wasn't a review of all old computer football games or the best computer football games. It was kind of the ones that I played, and it was just a general flavour of computer games, how some of them were great, some of them were absolute crap. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the video, and the reason I did it as a premiere is because I wanted to watch it and just see what the reaction was, and it's had some decent views, so that's all good. The only other thing I want to talk about is Kickstarters and collecting and what have you. As you know, I bought a Spectrum Next when it came out. I funded the original Kickstarter back in, God, I don't know, 2017 or something. I think that was when it all started. It went on for years, it really did. I mean, it got to a point I'd forgotten all about it, and I really didn't think I was going to get anything. But anyway, I funded the original, and I got my Spectrum Next. When did it come out? 2018, 2019, something like that. And I was blown away with how beautiful it looked, and I thought this is something else. And it was because it was the first standalone, compact, self-contained personal computer that I had bought since getting the Commodore Amiga. You know, PCs are just bits put together. The Spectrum is a standalone computer. Commodore 64 is a standalone computer. You can see where I'm going with this. Atari ST, Amiga, all these are all standalone computers. They're built in, they've got the keyboard. So this was like the first brand new standalone kind of PC that I'd bought for a long time, and I was blown away with it. And I thought this was fantastic. But like a lot of things that I buy, I packaged it up and I put it in a cupboard, and it just sat there for months and months and months, and I think months ran into years. So I'd had it for 2 years, and people were going, there was a second Kickstarter came out, and people were going daft for it. There was people selling them for 800 quid, whatever. And I thought, you know what, why don't I sell it? I'm not using it. I'm not going to say I'm selling it to give somebody else a pleasure, because almost I'm charging them for it, but I just thought, I'm not using it. It's pointless. It's sitting here when somebody else could actually get use of it, because they were hard to come by. So I sold it. I didn't sell it for a stupid amount of money. I sold it for what I thought was a very reasonable price, and that was that. And then about a year on, just watching, you know, YouTube videos and all that kind of stuff, I was reading a lot about the Spectrum Next, and it kind of dawned on me. I thought, I was part of that scene because I had one, and now I'm not. I'm no longer part of that, and it made me kind of miss it. So I decided to go onto Facebook, eBay. Went on eBay and like Facebook, because you have like Marketplace and what have you, and like Spectrum Next Facebook pages. I went on, and Spectrum Next were going for like 400 quid, 450, and I thought, I can't really justify that. It's too much money. Then it dawned on me. I thought one of my mates was selling a Spectrum Next clone. So I contacted him, and lo and behold, he still had it for sale. So we shook on a price, I got it for a good price, and I bought it. In fact, you might be able to see, I don't know if you can see that, you might be able to see it there. The Spectrum, the N-Go, which is 100% compatible. It's actually got the same software and hardware as the Kickstarter 2 Next. And apparently it's fantastic. I've been using it. That's my kind of go-to Spectrum. But then about a couple of months after it, it's just, I know it's a stupid thing, it got me thinking, I would really like to have a Spectrum Next. I really would. And lo and behold, somebody put one up. It was the original Kickstarter Spectrum Next. Somebody put it up for sale. It was expensive, you know, I think it was 300 quid or something. It was expensive, but it was slightly cheaper than what some other people were selling them for, and I thought, you know what, I'd really like to get it again and just to keep it. So I bought it, and it's been sitting in the cupboard ever since. Now, I don't mind that because I bought it really for that reason. I kind of bought it as not so much an investment. Well, possibly it is an investment. I thought, you know what, it is going to hopefully increase in value, and it's kind of like a backup. It's a backup. It's a bit like having two Vectrexes. You know, if one goes, I've got a spare one. If my Ngo stops working, I've got a spare next. So that was that. Then a couple of nights ago, I'd bought a few annuals from Fusion Books, and they're always really good. You know, really informative. And one of the books was the Spectrum Next Annual 2025. So I was reading through it, and there's this article. Sorry for sniffing. I'm just I'm kind of bunged up. Excuse me a second. I'll need to have a drink of this. I had what was I going to say? Yeah, I had. There was an article I was reading through, and the guy was talking about. He was talking about like Kickstarter things, anything, you know. I think it was more along the lines of like games, video games. And he was saying there seems to be a thing amongst people who back these things where they're quite happy to spend the money and take the risk that they're going to get something at the end of it, and because they become invested in the whole campaign because they've got something at the end of it. And then of course as it's going on, there's other, I can't even remember the name of it, other goals I think they call it. I don't quite understand what these are, but I've seen Kickstarters offering, well, if you buy this book or this thing, you get stickers, or you get a free mouse mat, or you get a free t-shirt, whatever, all these kind of things. And there's lots of people who will buy all these things. In fact, just a bit of a segue actually. I saw a post on eBay, not a post, a auction on eBay, and Retro Games, who manufacture this Spectrum and like the 64 Mini, all these kind of things, they have put out, I think it's them that have put out a small USB stick which you can use, with the Spectrum. Now I think it's 8 gigabyte or 4 gigabyte. It's a really small. You know, you'll fit every Spectrum game on it, and the only difference is it's got the little Sinclair rainbow logo along the bottom of it. So yeah, an 8 meg. Did I say gig? Is it? No, it is. Yeah, sorry, 8 gig. An 8 gig memory stick, and yeah, this little thing and the little badge thing on it, little rainbow, and it's sold for 92 quid. And my first reaction was, what idiot would pay that? But these are the people this guy's talking about. There are a core of people who will just, they get so hyped about things, whether it's a Spectrum or, I was going to say Spectrum owners are the worst. No, it's the same with Commodore. I mean, there's people that any of these things, any kind of gaming stuff, people get really, oh, I need that, I need that, I need the best one, I need this, etc, etc. And you're paying all that money for something that's worth, you could probably buy an 8 gig memory stick on Amazon for about a tenner, you know what I mean? But it's because it's got a logo on it and people think, I'm going to buy that, it's collectible. But going back to the Kickstarter thing, people invest in it, they spend their money, their hard-earned cash, and they get into this thing. And when it actually comes to fruition and they get whatever it is they paid, in this case the Spectrum Next, they just don't use it. They simply don't use it. And I've seen loads of people commenting on that, saying that they never use it. Because I'd put a post up. I'd put my post up about buying the Next, selling it, buying an Ngo, and then buying a Next. And I'd mentioned that I was going to, the Next that I'd bought is now sitting in a cupboard. It's not going to get used ever. and I'm going to use the Ngo as my kind of workhorse type thing. And I'd actually posted on the Next Facebook page, and this guy had actually taken my post and put it into the Spectrum Next annual. He said that a Facebook user had made this comment and it had resonated with him. And it's incredible that there's a lot of people that are like that they want to buy something, you know, through Kickstart, and then when they get it, they don't use it. Now, I don't know whether it's because they got caught up in the hype, they're not interested in using it. It might be they've not got any time to use it. Like me, it might just be, well, I bought it, but I don't have to open it. I can just use, I've got other means to play games. Or, you know, there's people that buy these things just because they want to have it in their collection. I think that's probably the biggest part. Then there's also people that buy it to sell on for to make money, and which I'm not a fan of, but you know, hey ho, you can't really stop it. So it's weird. What are your thoughts on that? Have you ever bought something on Facebook or on Kickstart, I should say, and you're really excited about it? Something that you're really, really excited about. It doesn't even have to be Kickstart. Have you ever been really hyped about getting something, and then when it arrives, it's not that you're disappointed with it, it's just like, I've got it now and I can put it on a shelf and never use it? Why do we do that? Weird. But anyway, as I was kind of going through this next book, the guy, they were comparing the original Kickstarter Next, the Kickstarter 2 Next, the Ngo, and the Spectrum Pi or something I think it's called, which I'm not really familiar with. But one thing that kind of came out in the wash was the Kickstarter 2 machine is actually superior to the original. Now, I can't remember who I bought the Next off. I'm a tiny wee bit perturbed, because I remember asking this person what the difference between the two Nexts are, the Kickstarter 1 and the Kickstarter 2 models, and he had actually said, he told me that the first one was a better one. I can't remember exactly what he said. I was actually looking to see if I could find the message, because I wanted to see what the differences were. But he had kind of alluded to the fact that the original Spectrum Next was the better model to get, had more compatibility, had more cores. I think he might have even said it was better made. But a couple of days ago, I decided, because I was reading about this next thing, they were saying that the second one, the Kickstarter 2, was actually the best one to get, which went against what this, or contradicted, I should say, what the seller had told me. And one of the things, apparently it's called HDMI power surge or something like that, and I think it's where there is power coming down the HDMI cable and it can do something. Now, I had an issue about 10 years ago. It was in my old house. I had a Neo Geo, a PC Engine, Mega Drive, SNES, all that. I had them all connected up to one TV, and had all the SCART sockets and an adapter, like a 5-in-1 adapter. And one day I switched on my Neo Geo, and lo and behold, the light to the PC Engine came on. Like, why did it do that? And I checked the PC Engine and it was switched off. So I switched the Neo Geo off, switched it back on, and the light on the PC Engine came on again. And when I went to try it, it had blown it. Now apparently there is a voltage, whatever it is, that travels through SCART sockets, you know, HDMI sockets, and the Neo Geo effectively frazzled my PC Engine. So I was a wee bit concerned when I read that about the Spectrum Next. So I put a post on the Spectrum Next Facebook page asking if people could give me the differences between the two models and what is the better model. And by and far, people have said get the second, get the Kickstarter 2 one. They're saying it's got a power switch. I think it's more reliable. It's going to be the one that's going to get supported No, I don't quite understand that, because if there's, say, 10,000 people have got the Kickstarter 1 model, why are they not going to support that? But basically what the feedback I was getting is that they said if you're just buying to collect, then keep the Kickstarter 1, because that will forever be the original. It's the original model, and collectors want to have original models. But if you're buying it to play it on a daily basis, then get the Kickstarter 2. So I've got that thing that, it's a bit like the old Playground Wars with your 8-bit computers. When you invest money and buy something, what you don't want is to hear people saying, oh, this thing that you've just bought is actually rubbish because it does this, that and the next thing. And I felt a wee bit like that now that I've got the Kickstarter 1 Spectrum next. I'm thinking, have I bought something that's maybe not going to work or be supported in a few years' time? So yeah, they're saying, if you're just going to collect, if you're just buying it for collector's sake, get the Kickstarter 1. If you're buying it to play, get the Kickstarter 2. Then I thought to myself, the end goal is apparently a fantastic machine. It's based around the architecture of a Kickstarter 2. So effectively I do have that. I've got my end goal which I can use. So I think I will hang on to Kickstarter 1. Will I buy a Kickstarter 2 Spectrum? Possibly. Anyway, listen, the very, very last thing I'm going to talk about is wee Bob. He's posted a question. I've been studying like mad these past few weeks to hopefully gain a qualification called CIG, I'm guessing that's City and Guilds, 2396. The pass mark for this exam is only 50% correct, but the pass rate for people sitting it varies between 20 and 45%. That's incredible. That's mental. I mean, how difficult must that be if you're only getting 20%? I'm hoping I've scraped a pass, but don't find out till February. My goodness, talk about keeping you hanging on. Therefore, my question for next time, if you see this, is, aside from your driving tests, what is the hardest test you have taken, and can you think of a test or puzzle in a game that you found really difficult but succeeded in answering or getting past it? I never went to college. Well, I did go to college. I managed to get my what the hell, it wasn't a diploma, a higher national in business management, which was a long time ago. Yeah, so I did my higher national in business studies. I've not really sat any major exams. In fact, just this week actually, I sat my IOSH Managing Safely course. I've actually done it twice before. I don't think it expires, but it's always good to kind of just have a refresher. So I've done that. I've not passed it yet. Hopefully I will. I'm trying to think. I don't think so. I mean, I went for it was a health and safety for managers course exam in Edinburgh, but you can do it anywhere really. There's different places, and there's 50 questions that you get. It's all around about health and safety, and they're multi-choice, and you've got half an hour to go through them, and you've got to go to the exam centre, you've got to turn out your pockets and even take off like glasses to make sure you've not got any cameras or earpieces. And the pass mark I think is 48 out of 50, and I managed to get 50 out of 50. There's 700 questions, so it could be any one of these. I think multi-choice does make it a lot easier because you may not remember it, but when you see an answer you go, oh god, that's what it is. So that was pretty tough. The funny thing was, two of my colleagues I was their manager, they had been for the test. They had been for the test a few months earlier, and they both got 50 out of 50 as well, which I think, it must be easy, but trust me, it's not. So there was a lot of pressure on me to get the same. If I got less, they'd be like, you only got 49 or 40, whatever, or God forbid, I actually failed it. So that was that. Now, I've never sat any real, apart from exams at school, Bob, there is a course called NEBOSH, which is It's like a higher version of IOSH, and that is meant to be tough. There's a lot of studying involved. There's a lot of remembering clauses and what have you. So I do want to do that because it's good for your kind of CV and that, what have you. I did do an internal auditing course fairly recently, but that didn't. Well, I had a kind of ongoing assessment. So that's kind of as far as exams go. When I passed my driving test, you quite literally have to drive in a straight line, and you passed. August 1985 is when I passed my test. It's mental. 1985. That's going to be 40 years ago next year. Wow. Games. I'm not a huge fan of games like that. Saying that, I do like on the Nintendo DS is the Professor Layton games. It's a series of IQ tests. Sort things into order and all this kind of bollocks. And it's obviously it's got a little story about this professor, whatever. They're quite good fun. The Resident Evil games, from time to time, you've got to rearrange things and join up wires and that kind of stuff. I had a few of them to do in Resident Evil 4, the remake, which I completed fairly recently. That's kind of it. Just on a kind of segue, one of the guys that plays pool with me, I should say. He was actually on the local Scotland Today TV programme on independent television, ITV, and he was telling me he used to own a business which worked on AI and robots and what have you. So he's a clever guy, but he's given that up. I think he sold his share in the business, and he's now a handyman. He goes around. He painted my daughter's room a couple of weeks ago for me. That's what he now does, completely different. And he was telling me that he's the chairman of, it's like a puzzle association of Great Britain, and I didn't even know that was a thing. And was it last year or the year before? He's won 15-1, not 15-1. He's won Weakest Link. And he also won a competition fairly recently where it was like the cleverest man in the world, something like that, and he actually won it. So he was on TV a couple of nights ago talking about puzzles and Sudoku and all this kind of stuff. It's quite interesting. So anyway, right, listen folks, it's getting darker. I'm going to head off. Thank you very much for your continued support. My subscribers, they were stuck for about 6 months and they've jumped a wee bit, but I think a lot of that is to do with putting out content. If you're not putting out any content on a regular basis, you might pick up one or two, but excuse me, I've now got hiccups, so it's probably the right time for me to disappear. If you do put out more regular content, you do seem to attract other people. So anyway, listen, I want to thank you for watching this. Hope you have a nice weekend. I've got my Christmas night out tonight. I'm driving though because I'm picking my daughter up tomorrow from the airport, and I should hopefully be along on Sunday. Now I might actually do an extended Sunday live stream. Now it might actually start later. I think it will, because I've got a Nice and Nasty that I'm recording with one of the guys. I think I'm doing that at 7 o'clock, so the live stream might start about maybe 8 o'clock, 8:30, might even be 9 o'clock on Sunday. But I'm actually on holiday on Monday, so I might actually make it an extended one. We'll see, we shall see, but I'll put up the thing as always. And anyway, as always folks, thank you very much for watching.